Can we supplement the Look.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, councillors. Our apologies for the slight delay. There were a few technical glitches, and hopefully we managed to resolve. But welcome to this first council meeting on the 17th of January 2022. Mayor Brad is presiding, and I'll hand over to Mayor Brad.
Thanks, David. So, acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the Bangala people, the traditional owners of the land we meet on today, and their continuing connection to land, sea, culture, and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and we extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people within our community. The City of Port Lincoln acknowledges and respects the diversity of cultural heritage and beliefs within our community. As a council, we are committed to serving the best interests and needs of all people in our city, and we endeavour to discharge our duties conscientiously to the best of our ability. Thanks very much. Please be seated. Readjust your cameras. Is there any way, Jason, we can actually get all of the meeting participants down the side, perhaps, or something like that, so we've got them all on?
Yeah, Mayor Brad, you may just advise that it is being live streamed.
Yes. Yep.
Right now.
Okay, so just for the information of all elected members and other staff present, we are being live streamed via Facebook.
Yeah.
So professionality all the way through, please. Okay, do you want to fix up Robin, mate?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I can keep going. So present, we have Councillor Broadfoot, Councillor Ritchie, sorry, Deputy Mayor Ritchie, I apologise. Councillor Rousell, Councillor Davis, Councillor Davies, Councillor Dodd, Councillor Staunton, Councillor Lynn, and Councillor Jolly. Thank you for your attendance through this most unusual of presentations tonight. So there are no apologies. Item number 3, is there any declarations of conflicts of interest? I'll go around the room. Councillor Broadfoot, any declarations?
No.
Deputy Mayor Ritchie?
No conflicts.
Okay. Faye, do you have any declarations at all?
No.
Robin?
I think she's still
being
connected.
Jeff, do you have any?
No.
Linda, do you have any?
No.
Valerie, do you have any?
No.
Peter Lynn?
No.
Peter Jolly?
No, all clear.
Yeah. And Robin, are you back with us? You there, Robin? Hello, Robin. Are you on mute? I can hear you.
Yeah. We just try and check back through the view so we can see the gallery.
This one?
Yeah.
It still doesn't give me all, that's all right. We'll just have to scroll through that.
Everything.
No, you're there now.
But that's what I lost it last time. Sorry.
Hey, Rob,
What
do you have
I
any
do?
declarations, conflict of interest?
Oh, thank you.
Robin,
Yeah, sorry, I'm here.
do you have any declarations, conflict of interest at all?
No.
Okay, thank you. Item 4 is a confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have any discussion on the previous minutes at all? Can I have a mover, please?
Happy to move that.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Jack. Can I have a second, thanks?
Happy to second.
So, Councillor Broadfoot, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favour? Okay, I can't see everyone, but I take it that,
We'll have to check.
yeah, just scroll. Mate, can you just bring it down so I can see a show of hands? Keep your hands up, palm out, thanks, guys. Just scroll down so I can see the rest of the crew there. Yeah, thanks. Motion carried, thank you. Item 5 is agenda items, there are nil. Item 6, questions with and without notice, there are nil. Item 7, notices of motion, nil. Item 8, petitions, nil. Item 9, deputations and presentations or representations, nil. Elected members' reports, the Mayor's activity report has been, I think, distributed by email. Amanda, is that right? Yeah, my fault, I didn't get it in time, but is there any questions concerning that at all?
Yes, I have one.
Who's that?
Councillor Davis.
Yes, go.
The DCEL, SA Water DCEL plant meeting on the 14th of December and also to the 12th of January with Howard Coote from the RDA in relation to Mallee Park.
Yeah, the first one was the DCEL plant. That was a meeting for, as SA Water came back to us, the CEO was there, myself, we had staff members there, I think, as well. And it was basically a meeting from them to say that they have, and basically it's not exactly an independent arbitrator, but an independent operator that's going to be working with the new project management team that's going forward from now. They're starting from scratch pretty well, and they're quite keen to work closely with councils. That's pretty well lit. Were you there, Helene? No. I can't remember who was there, JP.
No,
Yeah, it's so damn long ago. But it was a very good meeting, very positive in a lot of different ways, in that they were going to restart their consultation process, I think, and that they were examining different areas, which was good news. And what was the other one, Faye?
It was Howard Coote from the RDA. He's representing Mallee Park.
Oh yes, we went to Mallee Park. The CEO, Helena, and myself went to Mallee Park to have a look at the systems and processes that they've got there. There was a little bit of lobbying regarding maintenance of Mallee Park and the oval itself, and some discussions concerning future prospects within the area itself. There are some aspects that the CEO is looking at there. And I won't go into detail on those, but I'm sure that if you wish to talk to him about it, he'd be able to disclose that.
Thank you.
Anything else on that one?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Mayor Brad, I'd just be interested if they're, if SA Water are changing the consultation team, and it'd be good to get an update of who the people are now. So, yeah, if there's a change, is there something they've distributed that you might be able to share?
There's no paperwork or anything. What they're doing was just giving us an outline of where they were going to go. I got the impression that that they intended to move very quickly within the new year with the new team to achieve positive outcomes that are different from what's been there before. I'm just trying to remember. Were you there, Amanda? Yeah, I think that you'll find that it was a very, very good approach by SA Water compared with where we had been in the past. There's no specifics that I can give you off the top of my head, to tell you the truth, basically because we've had Christmas between, I think. So, but I remember coming out of the meeting thinking, well, that's good. That's a good direction that we're going in. And again, yeah, I'm pretty vague, and I apologise for that, but it was a while ago now. Yeah, perhaps if you would like to talk to me afterwards, we could probably catch up on it, and I'll refresh my memory because I haven't got the notes with me or anything like that as well. So.
All right. And my other question is just the planning for the Senator presentation on the 10th of the 1st. What's that about?
We had a meeting organised with senators in Adelaide, Senator Ruston, Senator Birmingham, Senator McLaughlin and Senator Fawcett, and a pre-selected senator as well. We did a plan as to how we were going to do a presentation to them on the Esplanade and potential possibilities for the Pancala Trail that we were looking at, to see if we could get favourable consideration regarding funding through the Building Better Regions Fund and any other funding source that might be there. Unfortunately, on Thursday night, I tripped over and I thought that I'd broken my ankle, so we actually had to cancel. So we were going to Adelaide to meet them face to face, and then COVID cancelled that, and we were going to do it via Teams, and then Brad did his usual trick and buggered it up. So we didn't go, and we haven't done it, but we will be doing it. I think it might be a good idea that if when Matt comes back, because we're not going to do it until Matt comes back, but perhaps if we can do a bit of a workshop briefing for councillors as well, I think would be a good idea.
Thank you.
Perhaps Amanda, you can take a note there that we might have a look at advising people where we are and what we're doing there. So, yeah, you're all right with that, though?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions for me on that from anyone? It's a very, very quiet month. My work.
I guess in a similar vein, Mayor Brad, it'd be good to get a councillor update from SA Water. If there's a new team and a new, new direction, it would be good to get that information as well.
Still formalising that. I'd actually like to wait until Matt Morgan comes back if I could, because Matt will have thorough notes of the conversation that occurred, and we can get dot points out to you from that if you like.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Ritchie.
Just one update there. The CEO review committee meeting was postponed, so that's not there. So otherwise, that covers it.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Thanks, Jack. CEO review committee was deferred because of lack of a quorum, and we can't formulate that subcommittee until the CEO is back present again, because we're looking at key performance indicators, and he has to have input into that. The other key point that came out of that meeting was commencement date of remuneration. I won't go into that at the moment because it's a confidential matter, but if anyone's got any questions on that, perhaps please keep it until we can reform the committee, and you can address the subcommittee with any questions on that. Okay, I'm just being aware of the confidential side of that. Thank you. Okay, Councillor's report, Councillor Broadfoot.
Just the COVID update with CEO and elected members on the 6th of January.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Rousseau, anything to add to that, Ron?
Yeah, only just have the CEO review committee meeting deleted, please. Thank you. From mine, yeah, nothing else.
Yeah, that can happen for everyone that's involved in that, Amanda. Yeah, thanks. Councillor Peter Lynn.
Yeah, I put in that the pageant, everyone went there, but it was more just to bring up and say thank you, because for both for Jack and Valerie, a lot of work went in there, and it'll just sort of slide through under the radar, because there's no way at this stage of recognising that. But even New Year's, and with all the other cancellations we've had with Tunarama and that's been the bright spot in Port Lincoln. So well done.
Yeah, and well done to the Chamber of Commerce and all the participants. The lights down the front street are really, really great. So I know that Jack and your crew, you were working pretty hard on those, and Valerie, I know that you were quite instrumental in what was going on with the pageant. And anyone that I've missed, the outcome for the pageant and the lighting down the front street is just fantastic, guys. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the members in regards to that. Councillor Peter Jolly.
Just the 6th of January COVID update.
Yep, thanks. Councillor Davis.
Yeah, the art prize was cancelled, but it will go ahead in some format later, so delete that. And just the COVID briefings. I'd just like to say, in relation to the likes of the Christmas pageant and even Tunarama, the complexities that I watch staff, businesses and event coordinators or organisers, the work they go through with COVID is to be commended. They do a great job. You always get a few people in the audience who are not supportive of the COVID ruling, but I just know that the hard work that's put in, and well done, everyone.
Yeah, agree. Just on that, whilst the opening for the Nautilus Arts Centre art exhibition we've got on at the moment, the opening's not there. I understand the exhibition is open and still operating?
Yes.
As of today?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, thanks. Thanks, Councillor Davies.
January the 6th, COVID update with via Zoom.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Staunton.
Yeah, so the 6th, the COVID update, but yeah, whilst not a official council rep or as council rep on the Chamber of Commerce, I also involved the Christmas pageant, the New Year's Eve fireworks, which went off quite well, not without too many hitches. That it went very smoothly. So Shani, the new chair of the chamber, had a bit of an induction by fire to welcome to the Christmas, and then throwing in all the COVID. So thankfully we got in early and have missed this great big influx into our community too. So, but it was great to not just that, but the joy and hope words again back down at the jetty. Great to see them, and everyone's really, it was attractive for the visitors and for the locals alike. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks very much. Councillor Dodd.
No, nothing to add.
Okay, I haven't missed anyone over. Beauty. Item 11 is Chief Executive Officer's report for discussion. Do you have anything, David?
Yes, Mayor Brad, through you. Matt did ask me to mention, he was going to just mention the council and community response to COVID. From council perspective, where we are trying to keep the elected members informed and updated, and the community through various mechanisms, and that he believes it is quite a positive response. At least we're trying to get the message out there with the information as it arises.
Thank you. That's very, very good. I've got an interview with Southern Cross TV tomorrow on that very item.
Can I ask a question, please, Mayor Brad?
Yeah.
Just in a question for David, can I ask a bit more about what's happening with the Lions Club and their donut machine? Is that being cancelled? Do you know?
Through you, Mayor Brad, I'm afraid I'm not aware of that. I'm not in the picture.
Oh, okay.
With regards to anything going on with that regard, Matt may be aware and hasn't passed that on to me. You?
I was just under the impression that because the things that were, the community things that were events that were happening on community land, because of COVID, were going to be either cancelled or sort of
just
restricted.
Put on hold.
And I just wanted to find out what's happening with, you know, how the Lions have, the Flying Doctors have that caravan.
I can answer that question partly.
Oh, thank you.
They're actually still there. The cancellation of community events is for stuff that is likely to attract more than 150 people. So not everything's been cancelled. It's for major things that would attract more than 150 people. So their permit hasn't been cancelled, no.
So they're allowed to stay there?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we've had three permit applications that have been deferred at this stage. Is that right, Lynn?
I'm not sure how many have been deferred, but it was based on the number of people that would come to the event in one hit. So it's about reducing the spread.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other further questions of David at all? Thanks. Item 12, Council Committee reports and minutes. There are none. Item 13 is the Chief Executive Officer's reports, resolution status report. David, do you want to talk?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Brad. Again, fairly straightforward, and the report is in the attachments. Any questions if necessary? Otherwise, the recommendation is that Council note the resolution status report and attachment.
Okay, so is there any clarifying questions required? Can I have a mover for the recommendation, please?
Happy to move, Brad.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Councillor Dodd, you want to speak on it, Jeff?
No.
I'm happy to second it.
Who's that?
Robin?
Robin, you were seconding?
Yep.
You want to speak on it?
Yes. No, thank you.
Okay. Is there any speakers for or against? All those in favour?
Yep.
Motion carried. Thank you all. Item 13.2 is the ICT project, transfer over to Office 65 migration type stuff. David, do you want to
Yes,
speak on that?
thanks, Matt, Brad. Again, we've tried to present, well, Matt prepared this report, CEO has prepared the report and trying to present as much information as possible. We were going to be bringing this through as a budget review item. However, given the COVID situation that we're in, and we were trying to minimize the troubles we have with team meetings and so on, implementing Office 365 will certainly make our lives a lot easier. And it is something that we had on the card. So we're asking for councillors' authority to bring this forward and authorise that budget variation.
I think it allows people to operate from home if required, and with 365 we can't do it under the current circumstances as effectively as it could.
Mayor Brad, it's Councillor Davis here.
Yes.
I work with this in our office environment, and it certainly makes life a lot easier, particularly when you're having to work off site. I think we need to move this, adopt this immediately. So I'm happy to move it.
So Councillor
Davies.
No, you're Davis.
So Councillor Davis has moved it. Do you want to speak on it at all?
I think it's a very good move. We need to do it.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Could I ask a question, please? Sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Is there any, because it's to help be productive in the office environment because of COVID, is there any funding available or anything like that, David?
To you, Matt, Brad. No, there's no. This is an internal operational
Yep.
spend. So unfortunately, no, there isn't any.
That's a shame.
So can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Yes. Councillor Davies, a second. Do you want to speak on it at all?
I just think it's a necessity in the world that we're living at the moment, and productivity is probably worth the 32,000 that is required.
Okay, speakers for and against. All those in favour?
Can I ask a question, Mayor Brett? Sorry.
Yes.
Just in terms of its security, in terms of the cloud, etc., that was previously a concern that we had with different systems that were cloud-based. 365, obviously, when we looked at that stuff previously, it's been probably a few years now since we've actually looked at that. Is this guaranteed secure, or how secure is this guaranteed to be?
Through you, Mayor Brad. Councillors, you will not be able to see him, but in the background we have our IT business partner, Jason. So you will be able to hear him. Jason, I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, look, nothing's guaranteed secure. However, this Office 365 comes with more security than we've currently got on our on-premise. And we've actually, through our managed service provider, we've actually upped our security maturity as well. So it is a lot more secure than what we've currently got.
No, that's a no-brainer.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions at all before I take a vote?
Yeah, one quick question, Brad.
Yes, sir.
That 32,000 annual payments for the Office 365, is that net of cancelling existing licensed software agreements?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, the saving is about, from what we've got, current licensing is only about $600 a year. However, our current licensing that we use for our Microsoft suite is 5 years old. And if we are to buy that outright again, like we did 6 years ago, actually now, it's probably looking at north of $65,000 anyway. With no security, no teams, none of that sort of stuff.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Dodd?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Can I have a show of hands, please? All those in favour?
Yep.
Scroll down.
Good. Motion carried. Thank you. If you're a nay in anything, can you please make your voice heard, because we've accepted a lot of the stuff. Item 14 is corporate and community reports, finance and business, people, governance and communications. LG reform, proposed behavioural standards for council members. David.
Thank you, Mayor Brad. This is for information only, but Lynn is available with us tonight in case you have any questions. But basically, it's about the consultation process that the councillors can participate in, and you have up until the 16th of February to do so. So if really any questions.
Okay. Any questions on that at all? Don't hear any. I'm sure that once whatever's implemented comes in, we'll have workshops on it. In the meantime, if you want to influence what's in the legislation or the regulation, then this is your opportunity to do it as individuals. I will most definitely be doing it. So that's for noting only. You don't need a show of hands on that. Item 14.3 is community culture and recreation 2022 Chinorama Festival cancellation. Council grant funding allocation. I'll throw over to you again, David.
Thank you, Mayor Brad. Again, fairly straightforward, but very disappointing. I mean, Chinorama have really tried everything they possibly can to hold the event, but circumstances are just working against them. And in the attachment, you will see where they are still requesting that council authorise that they retain the $10,000. Helena is here if there's any questions you'd like to ask.
I'd just like, through you, Mayor Brad, what was the reasoning for there not to be an acquittal? So if the funds are there, they're going to, spend the funds, and it might be on wages or whatever. What was the reason for the no acquittal? And is there any impact for the financial services team on that basis?
Through you, Mayor Brad. That was part of the memorandum of agreement that we set up with each of the participants, whereby they needed to acquit the funds for the project that it was given for. And the fact that in strict terms, they're not meeting those obligations, that's why we're actually putting in for the resolution that we agree that they don't have to meet that regulation of providing an acquittal. But we could, if I understand you correctly, Councillor Broadfoot, we could still ask them, as and when they spend the funds, to determine and advise council what they actually spent the funds on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that would be prudent, given that there's been some, I note that they're reducing staff and consolidating office space and storage facilities and those sorts of things. And yeah, really disappointed for Chinorama, but I just think on the basis of ratepayers' funds, that it would be good that we at least have some indication, if it's not a formal acquittal, but some indication of what that's expended on, because that gives us that accountability and that I guess insight into how they've mitigated the situation.
Ms. Jones?
Oh, just sorry, through the chair here, I'm just going to say that there may be a chance that the funds may not be spent this financial year. Councillor, so it might form part of the acquittal for the third year of the funding arrangement. If the funds
Could I say something, please?
Who's asking?
Linda Davies.
Yes, go.
In reply to Andrea and both Helena and Councillor Broadfoot, could we, I understand where Councillor Broadfoot's coming from, could we actually ask for an acquittal, but it's okay for them to keep that money for the previous year? It's okay if there's money in the bank and we still don't ask for it back, because hopefully it can be a bigger and better event next year, because it's going to, we've broken that cycle now of, 55 years or 56 years or whatever it is, a long time. I understand Councillor Broadfoot having an acquittal, but as long as that acquittal is okay for council to have that in still to use, in years to come.
If I may, Brad. So may I suggest, councillors, that we keep recommendation 1 and 2, and we add in a number 3, which states that the Port Lincoln Chinorama Incorporated will still advise council details
Yeah, of what
We'll
the,
advise
of what the money,
council
yeah.
the details of expenditure,
if any.
Related to council's investment or related to council.
related to, yeah, if any,
the funding, the
related
community funding,
to the council funding amount of $10,000.
well, the community funding.
As and when it occurs.
And could I just ask, could we put in council community funding? Because that's what it is actually, isn't it?
Well, it was the community grant funding budget allocation, but it's
Yeah.
the council fund. So related to the, absolutely, we can change related to the community grant funding.
Council, community council funding.
Council community grant funding.
Council community funding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Capital letters.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right. So is there any further questions of David or any of us here regarding this matter at all?
Yeah, Mayor Brad.
Yes, speaking. Is that you,
Valerie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in regards to further to their letter and their request for space to put their artifacts for the 60th anniversary. Just wonder if there's any update from council staff in regards to where that's sitting at the moment.
Through you, Mayor Brad. No, and that will become an operational matter, Councillor Staunton, that we will deal with internally.
Okay.
Could I pass that, please?
Yeah. So no further questions?
Yeah, just one, Brad.
Yes.
David, was the previous year's grant also held over?
Through you, Mayor Brad. No, it wasn't. They never received the funds last year.
Right. Thank you.
I beg your pardon. No, sorry. I beg your pardon. Let me retract that. Councillor Dodd, if you recall, I think a report was brought to council whereby the funds that we sent out last year were retained by those community groups that still hadn't held the event.
That's right.
I think the fact is that as they do the build up, they've still got expenditure as a result. Even
That's right.
So they did retain the previous years.
They did, yes.
Yeah.
And that would have to be acquitted anyway, I should think. So come back to you, Councillor Davies. You want to move it? Is that right?
Yes, I'll move it.
You want to speak on it?
I think we're all pretty much involved in some sort of community event somehow or somewhere in our lives, and we all know that there are costs involved in the build-up. I think the COVID has and the restrictions that COVID has brought to our world has caused such a hullabaloo, and you know these organisations have still got costs that they are enduring, and as much as I would have loved to have seen at least a procession or something, yeah, I think it's up to council and the ratepayers to sort of promote and help them keep afloat in the hope that we can get this back and happening in times to come, you know, like that's like the world we used to live in.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Can I have a second for the motion, please?
Happy to second that.
Deputy Mayor Jack, you're a second. Do you want to speak on it, Jack?
Just to say, yes, feeling for the Generama team. It's been an incredible effort lead up again this year for them. So yeah, do feel for them in the process, and hope they can get a festival in play by 2023. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Is there any further clarifying questions or speakers for and against? Okay, let's hope 2023 is the big year, okay? 61 years. All right, all those in favour? Show of hands, thanks. Is there any against at all, please? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item 15 is the Environment and Infrastructure Report. Infrastructure And assets tree removal request from Casuarina Court. Over to you, JP.
Thanks, Mayor. I guess through the chair, this one has been an issue that I picked up a couple of months ago when I started here, but then looking into it, it's actually started a fair while ago. So 2014, we started getting requests and complaints from residents in Casuarina Court over leaf littering of the trees within the street. Over the years, we had a look at the situation in 2016 and followed the tree management policy. And as for the policy at the time, management did not agree that these trees needed to be removed. Since 2016, we still kept getting complaints and concerns from residents about the trees. So finally in April 2021, we sent out a survey to try and understand from the residents who's got concerns, who doesn't, and who's willing to financially contribute to the tree removals and who weren't. 13 homes along the street were surveyed, and I do note that one of the attachments says it's 12, but it's actually 13. Five supported the tree removals. 8 of the residents didn't respond. 2 of the residents were willing to financially contribute to the tree removal, which is important to consider because as per our current policy section 10, if the tree removal is deemed to be for the benefit of the resident, solely for the resident, then there has to be financial contribution from the resident. So as Council did not previously agree with the tree removal proposal, this is not a budget item, and that needs to be considered as part of this. So recommendation is that Council in principle support the removal of the 9 trees. We did do a tree assessment. 8 of the trees are still in fairly good condition, but 1 of them have been deliberately damaged and killed by a method called ring barking. And we are concerned that others might follow the same fate. Recommendation as stands is that, and as per the policy that we Council approved the removal of the 9 existing trees in Casuarina Court and replace them with more suitable species, such as a tuckaroo species, is the one I would recommend, subject to the cost being paid by the residents as per section 10 of the policy. That's a summary of it. So happy to take any questions on that particular report.
I've got a question. So through you, Mayor Brad, so has the complaint come from one resident in particular? The one who lives behind the ring-barked tree?
No. The complaints seem to be consistent throughout the street over the period of time since 2014. So there's definitely been a few that are more vocal than others, but funny enough, not near the tree that's been killed. No.
How would the members of the street go with having to share the cost of removal? I mean, that's $9,000 for removal. That's $1,000 a house, isn't it?
It is a significant amount, and the concern is that the 5 residents that did respond that said that only 2 of them were willing to financially contribute. So the others were saying, yes, we're happy for the removal of the tree, but we don't want to financially contribute. So that is a tricky one.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, go.
Through you, Mayor Brad, these trees are on council land?
Yes.
Doesn't that make them council property?
Yes.
Why is not council responsible for the removal of their tree that they planted on their land?
Through you, Mayor, the issue is that if it was up to council as per 2016, we would not remove these trees, except obviously the one that has probably died. It's something that we'll have to budget for and remove. But these trees are in fairly healthy condition. They provide habitat for birds and other creatures. So some of them do anyway. So I think that was probably what. And again, I'm talking about a while back, but I think that's what's probably why they were decided not to support the removal of them in the first place. So as per the policy, if the administration assesses the trees, they don't tick any of the boxes as per the policy for reason and justification of removal, we would say no. If there is still then a continuous request for these trees to be removed, it has to come to council then for a decision. Part of that request to council has to be accommodated with a full tree inspection report, which we've attached in the attachments to this.
Yeah, I understand that. What my sort of query is, perhaps council, because there's a lot of people that complain in regards to the type of trees that were planted and the leaf litter. Are they encumbrance? I mean, out at Conrad Street, there's so much leaves that come from Dickens Park, and it literally blows under verandas, which becomes a fire hazard as well. I hear a lot of complaints about the type of tree, so I was just wondering, because council chose that tree, you know, maybe they could
Is this a question, Councillor Davies?
Sorry?
Is a question?
Yeah, so because I hear a lot of complaints, I was wondering if council could maybe, because they chose the wrong trees to fit in with the community, maybe they could count that cost as well. Is that a possibility, or does that go totally against your policy?
No, I guess through the chair, that's totally at the discretion of council. I think following the policy is that leaf litter doesn't constitute us removing trees. But I guess financial delegations and how it's done that, yeah, could be up to council's discretion. So
if I may, Brad, the councillors just need to be aware perhaps of a precedent that you may be setting. And so as it stands, and in terms of our current policy, these trees are not considered to be wrong trees planted by council.
Yeah.
And certainly if we start sort of saying, well, we're removing them because we believe that they're wrong trees, council could be in for a fair bit of money then if, you know, then the community starts saying, well, all of these trees are the wrong planted trees by council. As it currently stands, they're not the wrong planted trees. And in terms of our policy and the report that's been provided, they don't need to be removed by council.
Can I ask
Understand.
a question?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor Jack.
Just a question there, just looking through the reports, it appears that only one tree is considered needs to be removed because it's been damaged, and it's obviously been vandalised as well. And I'm wondering, and I know there's information in the report about it, but what is the penalty for the damaging of a council tree and that environment? And I'm looking for, you know, in terms of the costing of that as well, because at the moment I can't see a reason necessarily to remove them, but I can see that that particular tree requires it. So the question is what is the penalty for that that sort of vandalism, if you like?
It's an offence under the Summary Offences Act called property damage. It's a summary offence and it's a criminal action. And whether there's compensation paid as a result of that criminal action is determined by the court at the time.
I have a question, if I may.
Councillor Rousseau, was
it? Yeah, I just noticed that there's some gutters nearby, drain gutters. Are any of those ever blocked up from all the leaves that fall off? Because I know, you know, just around my place, I've got trees like that, and the leaves are coming off all the time. And I just wondered whether there's an issue with blocking those drains.
Sure, through the chair, yeah, seasonally there would be additional cleaning that would have to happen. We would have to remove some leaves from the gutters, but that's the same with all London plane trees or Oriental plane trees throughout the city. So definitely we would do part of our maintenance of our inlets and our pits. We would definitely be removing leaf litter from those locations as well.
Can I ask a question?
Who's asking now? Is that Councillor Jolly?
Yes.
Yes, go.
JP, is there any reason why we can't just remove the one dead tree and plant this tuckaroo in its place? And hopefully it's a bigger and more luscious tree than the others. And,
I-
the others can grow happily alongside of it.
Through the chair, I believe that the tree has been dead for a while, and the complaints are still coming in. So I don't know if you've been able to have a look at the particular photo of the one that's been ring-barked, but there's no leaves actually on it left because that's just what they end up looking like when they die. So the complaints have still been rolling in since then. So I would assume then, therefore, that the other trees are still contributing to the leaf littering issue in the street, and therefore removing the tree and planting with something that's more suitable for that environment is a good idea. I'm just not convinced that it'll necessarily get rid of the concerns of the residents completely.
I don't have any concern for the leaf matter. The dead tree needs to probably go, and be replaced by another tree. And if you think the tuckaroo is a better option, that's good. Potentially, as the trees, die of natural causes in 1,000 years' time, they'll probably be replaced by other tuckaroos as well.
Okay.
Councillor Davis here. Can I just ask a question of staff? Are these trees the most suitable trees for this location? I'm hearing what Mr. Levy is saying, which is, if we remove a tree, we're setting a precedent. We need to be able to justify exactly the reason why. Yes, there's leaf litter, but also as elected members and a council, we need to be able to justify, are these the most suitable trees? Yes, they've been planted there. Yes, they've grown. Yes, they have a lifespan and they do grow tall and they do have leaves that fall off. Are they the most suitable trees for this environment in this space at this given point in time? Should they have ever been planted there? There are a whole range of trees in this city that we have continually trimmed. And my question is, are these the most suitable trees for this environment in a very enclosed cul-de-sac residential area?
So through the chair, I think there's a couple of things. Looking back, I'm not exactly sure what the framework and the criteria was for making some of those decisions on when to plant those particular ones. Following the current policy, it clearly identifies some species that are inappropriate, which these do not fall under. Moving forward, I can definitely say that with the new manager of open spaces, we will definitely be reviewing of the fauna and flora and the types of trees within certain environments and so forth. So we'll have to keep that a review, but that doesn't mean that we will find that there's been inappropriate trees planted. It might just be that we have a more formal approach to assessing what is more suitable than others. So I can't really answer that question, whether it's appropriate or not, because I'm not sure what the criteria was for the decision making when those trees were planted. Leaf litter is definitely a nuisance, but again, following the policy that clearly states that leaf litter is not a good enough reason to kill a healthy tree is kind of where I think the decisions in the past have sort of stopped this from progressing.
My other question then is the two trees that sit opposite each other, where there are two drain inlets. My concerns is the fact that we will have major root problems in relation to the water flowing through that drain area.
Through the chair, potentially, yes, in a few years, that might be a situation that could occur. At the moment, the guys that looked at it did not find any tree intrusions at this stage, but that does not mean that the trees in the future, the tree roots.
So my next question then is that, so we wait until that occurs before we spend money on eradicating?
It would definitely be a consideration at the time when it starts damaging infrastructure, whether we would then remove the trees, yes.
I mean, tree root problems would be with any type of tree though.
Correct, it would be any type of tree. And especially back when some of these bigger trees were planted, they weren't necessarily had the same type of ring barriers or root control systems in place that we have available to us today. So,
okay, so thank you. So we're still in clarifying questions of the report.
Please, Member.
That's another question. Oh, sorry.
Councillor Staunton, and then I'll come back to you, Jack.
So just further to clarify the question you asked, Mayor Brad, in regards to payment by the residents or the property owners in Casuarina. So out of 12 properties, we've got 5 responses, only 2 are willing to pay. So if we remove the trees, how is payment made? Like, do we need to get agreement from all residents to pay for the removal before we go ahead? Or is it, you know, potentially a debt recovery process if we remove and only 2 are willing and no one else is going to pay?
Yeah, sure. Through you, Mayor Brad. So if the resolution is passed in the format that it is, we would not proceed with tree removal until we have received contributions from all residents. So we would put it back to the residents to say, council has approved that we may remove the trees, however, it will be at the residents' cost. And on the basis that we get a full consensus from all the residents that you'll each pay your share, we will then undertake the removal of the trees. That's how it would work in this instance.
Can I, have we finished clarifying questions? Oh, sorry.
So who, still in clarifying questions? Councillor Broadfoot, I can see you, but I can't see who.
No, Jack, I think Jack's got another clarifying question. I'm ready to move something different, but let's keep going.
Councillor Richard.
My question is similar to Councillor Staunton's as well, is that it appears that we still don't completely know whether all residents want the trees removed and replaced or not, because we've only had responses from 5, well, less than half. I guess the question is then is, and you may have answered that by saying that it wouldn't proceed unless there was a contribution from all residents, and that would then confirm whether all residents are in support. So yeah, my question was going to be there. Do we actually survey each particular candidate asking that question? If the trees were removed, are you willing to contribute or not? Because it seems to me that we might be removing trees that the majority of residents in the street support being there as well. So,
through you, Mayor, the question was actually asked whether they would be willing to contribute, and that's where we found that from the 5 that did respond, 2 are willing to contribute to the cost, and the other 3 definitely said they're not willing to contribute to the cost. I think the other challenge to just consider when contemplating this matter is the fact that if there might be a complexity, you know, however we decide to move forward, that if, I guess in terms of how it's funded, we definitely would not be removing any trees until we've received the funding, or, you know, if the resolution is passed in its current state. Because I think if I were one of the 2 residents that said I'm willing to contribute, but you know no one else is, then I think it would be very unfair on those 2 particular residents, and waiting for everyone to contribute, especially if some might not care about whether the trees are removed or not. It might cause a bit of frustration and unrest within the community and within the street in particular. So, because this is the couple of people that do complain, this is a very serious and sensitive subject to them. So I just thought I'd highlight that and for your consideration as well.
So, if I may, is there a chance that we could actually use this as a community communications type style operation, where we approach each individual house owner and say, do you want the plane tree in front of your property removed? And if you do, we would like your contribution towards the removal, but also we would like you to adopt the tree in front that goes there or something. I'm just trying to think of a different slogans. But anyway, we're getting into discussion. I don't want to do that. So, okay, thanks for your input, JP. Councillor Broadfoot, you said you wanted to move it. Is that right?
I'd like to move something different. I'll just test the meeting if that's all right. Have everybody finished with their clarifying questions?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So that I'm not in favour of this motion. So I would be saying that we do not approve the removal of the 9 existing street trees from Casuarina Court. the basis of that is, so they're mature trees, they're 20-year-old trees. So they're actually individually removing 189 kilograms a year of CO2 from the atmosphere. So that group of trees is a tonne of CO2 every 5.3 years. So saplings will absorb less CO2 and dense tree coverage, and in our streets can reduce temperatures by up to 7 degrees. So in a warming climate, we've talked about a tree planting strategy to actually be relating to the whim of a few residents annoyed about leaf litter, who want to then put in a Chinese elm, which is semi-deciduous anyway, or a dwarf eucalyptus, which is potentially related to the scenery rather than the leaf litter, which grows to 4 to 10 metres, I think is short-sighted. The people that I've communicated with in the community about this, just in my circle, were absolutely horrified that we would even consider removing mature trees in our community. And this is bigger than 3 or 4 or 5 or 9 residents in a street. This is about our community, how it looks, how it feels. And so my move is, that's it. I'm speaking to the motion now. So my move is that that in accordance with the tree management policy, council does not approve the removal of the 9 existing street trees, that we do look at replacing the dead tree, and potentially we put some CCTV in the street and have a look at what's actually happening, so that if any of the future trees are impacted, then we've got something to go on in regards to the criminal damage to the existing mature tree. No, I don't want that as part of the motion.
I was wondering.
No, but like, how much does it cost for the tree assessment report? So I appreciate, JP, that we're looking to solve issues, but yeah, I cannot support this motion, and I will flag that I'll call a division on it depending on how it goes.
Okay, so you're moving the top paragraph, the amended recommendation, is that correct?
Yep.
So,
Sorry, maybe could I just clarify?
yes,
The 9 trees include the dead tree. Correct.
Yeah, so it does not approve the removal of the 8 existing healthy street 20-year-old street trees.
that's not the
Yeah, so the 8 existing street trees, but
Yeah,
does
healthy street
the
trees.
council does replace the dead tree at council?
Yeah, the 8 existing 20-year-old healthy street trees. I can't believe we're having this conversation.
healthy street trees in there, I reckon.
Yeah.
Use the word healthy.
Yeah,
All right, so you're moving that as an alternate to the recommendation that was there.
yeah, and that the council does replace the dead tree with a species aligned with council's tree planting, tree planting policy. And so try something different. But yeah, like to put another semi-deciduous non-native, and the dwarf eucalyptus is not native to South Australia either. So,
We don't have a tree planting policy, do we?
well,
We have some guidelines that we can follow.
Well,
yeah,
the
you choose
guidelines,
however you want to
That's
roll.
already there in place, so
Yeah,
council's guidelines,
Yeah.
sorry, Amanda, aligned with council's, and does replace the dead tree with a species aligned
the council's got.
with council's guidelines.
yeah,
All right, so you're moving that.
yeah, and I've spoken to it.
I was going to say, you've already said a fair bit, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
waited a long time.
is there a second there for this amended
Yeah, I'll
motion?
second it, Brad.
So councillor Dodd has seconded. Do you want to speak on it, Jeff?
Yeah, look, I'll second the recommendation. If you get rid of those last 2 lines
Yep.
that are still on there which is still as a part. Yeah, look, I second Andrea's comments in regards to healthy street trees. They're magnificent specimens. You're going to get a lot of leaf litter at a certain period of the year during winter. Some of their shade trees, and they're excellent. All trees lose leaves. Some just do it all year. Some don't do it. Some do it all at once. And if it's only the leaves which are an issue, I don't see why you'd want to remove such good trees.
Thank you. Is there any speakers for or against?
Yeah, Mayor Brad, I'm happy to speak for the motion, support the motion, exactly what Councillor Broadfoot, Councillor Dodds said. They live in a leafy area as well, and you know, all trees do drop their leaves. They're perfectly healthy trees that are doing the job that they're required to do, and especially the temperature, you know, keeping that area cool for the residents as well. Given that also we've had minimal response, a minimal number of residents say they want them removed and would be willing to pay for them. In the majority rules scenario, I don't think we should be removing healthy trees from Casuarina Court.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other speakers for or against?
Yes, I'd like to say something, Brad.
Who's that?
Linda.
There you go.
I'll support this, but I do know lots of people that don't like those trees. I understand about healthy trees, and I'd love something like once these trees have lived their full life, that they will be replaced with natives, you know, to South Australia. That's what I would like to see on all streets. Native, we stick to our natives, but
I think they live on average about 120 years. So
I don't think this will even be remembered then.
No. If I can, JP, how many complaints have we received, and from how many different residents in the past? Do you have that information?
I will have to take that on notice, but I do know it's predominantly from 3 residents that we get a lot of phone and email correspondence.
Yes, okay. Right, thank
Is
you.
that just from that street, JP?
Yes.
So we're not, are we talking like, would it be, are we able to get from across the board? Because I know just in Conrad Street, we have massive amounts of complaints to me as a councillor, but you know, that's.
Yeah, so.
That's a different street though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not this topic we're talking of tonight.
Yeah. So can I have a show of hands for all those?
Can I just close the debate, please?
Oh, yeah, you moved it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your support with that, Councillor Dodd. And I do also reflect back on the, you know, conversations we've had in council around, you know, the cooling temperatures and tree planting strategies and things. And I appreciate your approach and contribution with that. The other thing is, I think we could consider, you know, maybe a more regular, you know, if it's really stressing people out, a more regular street clean through there at that time, to look at how we support the trees in balance with the residents having some angst around it. So I don't think we need, you know, there's some other options apart from killing great trees. So thanks for your support, Councillor Dodd, with seconding the motion, and yeah, and thank you all for supporting trees who can't speak for themselves here.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I have all those in favour show hands, please? All those against? Can you just yell, please?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 15.2 is development services. There are none. Item 15.3, environment and community safety. There are none. 15.4, major projects. There are none. 16, confidential council committee reports and minutes, nil. 17, confidential reports, nil. And 18, the next meeting will be held on the 21st of February at 6:30 p.m. I'm sure it will have more on the agenda than this one. It's a bit of an abbreviated one, which is good. It just leads us back into the year. Before we close the meeting, I'd just like to wish everyone a happy new year, and 2022 has to be better than the last couple, so we'll keep rolling through. So thank you very much for your attendance and your patience in using this electronic system. And I now call the meeting closed. Thank you.
Jason, you can stop the recording. Councillors, if I could just ask before